All right, man. I said honesty is the best policy, man. I try to encourage everybody to be honest with themselves and their projects that they're going at. Um, I think a lot of people. It's not think. I know a lot of people lie to themselves about what they need because they don't know what they want. I'm in a situation where it's like, man, I'm gonna get out to a show or two, whether I take a car or not. It's like I just want to like really like ask racers. If you had the option, if you could only do one, you could only do one. Okay, if you could either only race or if you could only cruise your car for a year. We're not gonna say for life. We're gonna say for a year. Which one? Which one would you choose? Each year you have to choose to do just one. Which one do you think you would rather do? Or if you just want to say for life, for the rest of your life, you can either only race your car or you can only cruise your car. Which one would you choose to do, man? That's a good topic because I feel like I'm 50-50, man. But it's like I follow Fly, so I seen Fly cruising his car, and I also see him racing in the street too. And it's like, man, it looks like just as much fun, dude. Cruising the car as it is racing it. It's nothing like winning. It is not, dude. It is nothing like winning. My first time grabbing a light I just so happened to win. The first time in Stunt Fest on 30s. That was my first time ever grabbing a light. I left on green. Let me put it that way. I left on green. Like I had absolutely no idea anything about everything had been in the street. So I had no idea about catching a light whatsoever, staging in none of that stuff. And I won. I was like, oh my God, this is the best feeling ever. But it's like, man, I also enjoy cruising the car, man. So don't lie to yourself and think you have to go spend a whole fistful of money to try to go fast to enjoy the car. It's not so. It is not so. It's not. Um, it's like when I'm cruising enjoying my car, man, it's like for the most part, I might rump on it every now and then, but for the most part, man, everything is 2,000 RPM and below, man. Just cruising, man, grabbing gears, man, just enjoying the vibe, listen to the music, listen to the pipes, riding with your buddies, going somewhere to pull up and chill, man. Just enjoying the bill. Um, there's no need to have some 2,500, 3,000 horsepower car to do that. You can you don't. I'm in a situation where I seen the man, the other car it is not as it can be streetable, but it's not as fun in the street. It's just what it is. It's just not, dude. I explained it to a dude the other day on the church. I said, just know what you're getting into. I said because what you want, it's like you got to pick and choose, man. The hardest car to build is a street strip car, like seriously, because you want to be super hot on the street and then you turn around and want to be super hot at the track. It's like the RPM range is not lining up there. Especially like we was talking about with a turbo setup, dude. It's like, man, nobody's just like gonna roll off from the red light and hit it and just smoke the tire. That's what you want to do. Like, dude, you do not want some, LS 12, 1,300 horsepower setup. You just got a spool, dude. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna spool, man. You want like a street strip supercharger, or a pro charger deal. Like that's what you're really looking at. You ain't looking for no turbo setup. So it's like just kind of know what you want and on cam selection too because it's like man my other like the Camaro was it's sickening to drive on the street. It just is because it doesn't want to do anything until I don't know 35, 4,000. It doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't. It's just not. It's just that's what it was set up for, man. You go swinging at 2,500 north and stuff like that. It's like down low. It's gonna be a slouch. It still make power, but it's not gonna feel like a cam that comes in at 2,000. You know, this is just part of it. It's the give and take of it. So it's like shout out to everybody who did Sick Week. And it's like you see Steve Morris. I posted on my story. Steve Morris is cruising around, and I'm pretty sure he has an SMX, but I want to say he had a Billy Hemi. But there's other guys out there who have Billy Hemis, who are in the 4K, like seriously 4,000, 4,500 horsepower. And it's like they're cruising on the street. Yeah, you can cruise it on the street, but it's not going to be as fun as a higher horsepower NA or, I'll put it to you this way. A 600 horsepower big block, LS, small block, whatever, will be twice as much fun on the street as a 1,500 horsepower LS. I'm just turbo build. I'm just here to tell you. Supercharger, and you make a lot of torque. Torque is what you're really looking for. People get tied up on horsepower numbers. I guess like they selling weed eaters or motorcycles or something. The torque is what you're really looking for. So superchargers, prochargers make a lot of torque. So that's what you're really looking for in the street, because you really just want to melt the tire off. Just cruising around from stoplight to stoplight. You don't want to get on a two-step just to melt the tire in the street or to pull off hard. You don't want to do that. So in a situation like I'm just explaining to people what I've seen is like, man, you go for these massive numbers, and then it's like you out here on the street and you don't want to get on the two-step. So then you're like riding, and instead of grabbing the brake and in my case dumping some fluid and getting on the limiter faster, it's like you just cruising under a load, and it takes it a while to spool. And then the higher horsepower applications, it's like once the boost comes in, it's like boom, there goes the tire. The tire's gone. So then it's like, okay, hey, what do I do? Do I go take some wastegate spring out so it doesn't come in so hard on the street? And it's like, okay, now you need to go back and change your whole tune for the track. So for the most part, I feel like everybody will be happy with a street strip friendly 2,000 RPM up cam, anything from a 350, 355, 5360. I feel like that suits most people. A lot of people feel like they need a 60 or a 62. That is on the hotter side of what I feel like you need for a street setup. I feel like most people can get away with a 350 Vortec with a cam. Definitely a 5.3 with a cam. It's really good street power. After that, a 6.0 with a cam is hot street power. A big block with a cam and an intake with a decent set of heads. Same thing right there with a 6.2 is a really hot setup. For a street strip vehicle, on motor. You know what I'm saying? Save your money. None of this power out of stuff is cheap. It was what I tell a lot of people too. The turbo stuff can be misleading. It can be. I'll put it to you this way. I take that back. None of it's cheap, dude. None of it's cheap. The turbo stuff can be misleading, and the nitro stuff can be misleading. The situation with the turbo stuff is you look at all the pieces that you feel that you need, and you discredit the fab work that it takes to make that work. Okay? So that's where the rest of that supercharger or that procharger money comes up. When you're looking at a turbo, especially that cheap stuff, you're only going to put cheap stuff on cheap stuff. It's been a while since I really done some dirt cheap stuff to where I will run a $300 or $400 turbo. I've looked at turbos and spec some for people. I don't think I would buy a turbo under $800. I just don't. It needs to have a name brand on it. I'm just sorry. Just certain stuff is not worth it. So it just looks like it's a lot cheaper than, per se, a $10,000 Pro Charger setup. Okay. The new Pro Chargers, they're coming self-oiling, so you don't have to run a return line for the oil. You got to do that with a turbo. That's more fab work, Sometimes the cooling is not as demanding on a Pro Charger as it is on a turbo, because your hot side tends to keep the turbo hotter. Same thing with the supercharger. It'll come with cooling bricks in it. So it's certain aspects like that it can make the turbo setup look cheaper because you're missing the fab work that it takes. Pro Charger, no hot side to plumb. You know what I'm saying? You just got to plumb the cold side. Supercharger, it's expensive. It's $10,000-$12,000. You don't have to do any plumbing. You know, so you save time and money on the fab work compared to the turbo. You got to plumb a hot side and you got to plumb a cold side. And then you got to do the oiling for it. You get what I'm saying? And then if it's not carbureted, you know, now you're doing, you know, you got to do intercooler, you know, where, you know, supercharged, you're doing cooling bricks. So it can be misleading. So then, of course, y'all know I get on the dope, the nitrous. The nitrous appears to be cheap. Well, nobody understands, which, I don't know. Somebody told me I could take plugs back to O'Reilly's. And I asked them about that, and they were just like, anyways. So if anybody, I got a fistful of 11s. If somebody wants to swap them out for me, I'll pay you. But yeah, so it's like on the dope, you know, nobody's looking at the price of buying spark plugs. They're not looking at the price of buying spark plugs. They're not looking at the price of, I guess, the time and labor. Even though I'm filling my own bottles, like it takes time and money. You keep having to buy the nitrous, and I honestly on the pass, I'm not sure. I probably use. All right, I'm gonna put it on a point system. Let's say I use 5 points of nitrous through a pass. I probably only run 3 points of that through the motor. The other 2 points, I'm purging on the line. I'm purging off the access at the end. So, you have to keep paying for it, and you end up wasting a lot of it. I'm just saying. You're never gonna empty the whole bottle. You know, I have a mother bottle. I can't empty that whole bottle. You know, and then you have to worry about warming up a bottle. You have to make sure the bottle's warming up, especially when you start spraying. You know, 400, 500, 600, 700. Especially start getting to the 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. You have to make sure this bottle is hot enough for that. So then, you know, bottle warmers. You have like pre-bottle warmers. So I have a tank that I actually sit bottles in, and then I put them in the car and I strap them in and put a heater on them then to make sure I keep them warm. That's something that people miss in the race application of it. You get what I'm saying? That's something that the kit only costs $700, and then this Pro Charger over here costs $10,000. Okay, cool, that's fine. You can't go to the track and race with one bottle. Maybe you spraying 50 or 100, but you're gonna have to buy 2 or 3 bottles. You get what I'm saying? So 250, 250, 250. It starts to add up. It really does. It starts to add up. And then, you know, nitrous bottles, they take maintenance. They do. They'll start to have leaks. It's just what it is. Gauges can stop working. Once again, the labor and the heating it up aspect. You could go get in the staging lane and not understand how long you're gonna be in the staging lane. You know, it's certain stuff people don't look at with the power aspect of it to where it can appear that something is better or cheaper. Better is an opinion word, you know. So long term is what you kind of have to look at, you know. You don't know what nitrous will end up costing you. You don't know how many spark plugs you're going to go through. You don't know how many bottles of nitrous you're going to run. You just know you're going to have to keep refilling it. You know, you don't have that issue with a Pro Charger or a turbo. So it's something you have to look at. If you sit down and pencil it in, it'll start to make sense. I saw where, which I still had it anyways, a good Pro Charger setup was 10,000. A good nitrous setup was like 5,000 to start. You get what I'm saying? But through the year, depending on what you're spraying, you're gonna end up spending that. It's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it, dude. It sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, dude. If you find somebody who's spraying 1,000 on a couple of kits, and then you had to get a couple of bottles, they will spend 5,000 in nitrous in 1 year. It's just what it is, man. I'm sorry. You have to have more. You can't go to the track with any less than 4 or 5 bottles. You have to have that. It's just what's necessary, grudge or shootout wise. You never know what you're gonna have to run. So it's like that's what it takes, to do it at a competitive level. If you spraying like 150, 200, you might be able to get away with 2, maybe 3 bottles, but it's dangerous. I mean, what happens? What happens if you have a bottle that leaks? Or you mess around to go some extra rounds or something, or you got a grudge race after that, I'm out of nitrous, I can't race, It's a reason when you see these people pull up, they have 7, 8 nitrous bottles in a trailer. They hope they don't have to use them, but they just understand, hey, I need to have this just in case. You get a turbo or pro charger set up. You don't have to worry about that, man. It's so much. It was so much nicer to load that Camaro up compared to the nitrous car. Having to load up all the nitrous bottles, the nitrous heater, all that stuff. Turbo car, crank it up, drive it in the trailer. Let's go. I ain't worried about plugs. I won't even worry about plugs. You know what I'm saying? It's so much nicer. But you pay for it up front, getting the stuff and also on the fab work. So stuff to think about if you're looking at the power other side of it. But if you're doing a street deal, man, naturally aspirated is still king, man.